Okay, good morning, good afternoon, maybe good evening if you are seeing me at nighttime. Today's topic, adding integers. The first thing we need to know before we know how to add integers is what exactly an integer is. So let's take a second to define it. So an integer is blank and blank, whole numbers and blank. So let's fill in the blanks. So an integer is positive and negative, whole numbers and zero. Okay, so anytime you're looking at a number line, all the numbers that are on the number line, the positive and negative whole numbers and zero, those are your integers. So let's look at an example of adding integers together. So our example says 5 minus 2 minus 4 plus 6 plus 1 minus 8. Now I don't know about you, but when I was in school, when I first started learning this stuff, maybe even a little bit after that, I used to get confused. And I wasn't real sure what went with what and how do we combine them. So I learned something from a friend of mine and I hope it helps you. What she told me was she told me to take sports teams, and my family loves watching sports. The most favorite one that we watched recently was the NBA championship with the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? And we're huge Golden State Warrior fans, Steph Curry all the way. And LeBron's fantastic, but we were a little bit upset with the final outcome. So what we're going to use today, we're going to use game one, because game one, the Warriors did a great job. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put the scores up from game one by quarter. So Cleveland scored 24 points in the first quarter. Golden State scored 28 points in the first quarter. Got a question for you. Who won that quarter and by how many points? You're absolutely right. Golden State won by 4 points. Let's look at the second quarter. Cleveland scored 19 points. Golden State scored 24. Who won that quarter? Golden State won again by 5. Third quarter, Cleveland 25, Golden State 22. Who won that quarter and by how many points? Cleveland won by 3 points. And in the last quarter, Cleveland scored 21 points and Steph Curry and the Warriors scored 30 points. So, so Golden State won that quarter and they won by 9 points. Now let's figure out the whole game. Who won the whole game and by how many? So what are we going to do? How are we going to figure out who won the whole game and by how many points? Well, of course, we're going to add up all of Cleveland's points. And when you add up all of Cleveland's points, you get 89. And when you add up all of Golden State's points, you get 104. So my question again, who won Golden State by how many? How are we going to figure that out? Well, we're going to take our 104 and we're going to subtract the 89, and that's going to tell us that Golden State won by 15 points. Okay? And this right here is how we're going to help you add integers. And the way we're going to do it is, instead of talking about Cleveland, instead of talking about Golden State, we're going to name these with the teams that we have in math. One of the teams is going to be the negative team. The other team is going to be the positive team. So I'm going to take all this information, and instead of dealing with Cleveland and Golden State, I'm going to deal with the negatives and the positives. So let's look at this chart a little bit different. So our negative numbers, negative 24, negative 19, negative 25, negative 21. And our positive team, positive 28, positive 24, positive 22, positive 30. When we combine them all, we get a negative 89 and we get a positive 104. So as we look at this, negative 89 plus 104 should equal 15, right? The positives win by 15 points. So this is another way that you could see this expression. They both come out with the same answer, okay? So negative 84 plus 104, negative 89 plus 104, and 104 minus 89, same thing, just written a little bit differently. So let's take this piece of information and let's go back to our first example. In our first example, we had all of these numbers. Now I'm going to do this chart, except I'm going to do it for this problem. So on this chart, I'm actually going to do it in green this time. So we have our negative numbers here, and we have our positive numbers there. So 5, what does that go under? That goes under a positive. 2, negative. 4, negative. 6, positive. 1, positive. 8, negative. All right. Now, let's see. We have negative 2, negative 4, and negative 8. How many points did the negatives score? The negatives scored 14 points. We have positive 5, positive 6, positive 1. How many points did the positive score? The positive scored 12 points. So another way to write these, or two different ways that you can write this, is negative 14 plus 12. Who won the game? The negatives or the positives? Well, the negatives won, and by how many points? The negatives won by 2 points. Or the other way you could write it, if you like the positive team better, you could always write positive 12, negative 14. Who won? The positives or the negatives? The negatives again, negatives won by a score of 2 points. Okay, so I hope my example of Cleveland and Golden State, turning it into integers and allowing you to solve this problem helped. Watch it again if you're still struggling, if you're a little bit confused. If you watch it about 3, 4, 5 times and you're still not sure, go ask your teacher and they'll give you some more examples so that you can practice, so that you can understand it. You can do this. Let's make it happen. Have a great night.